Hey everyone and welcome. You're listening to the next episode of Turn Zero Drive Home. This is a solo Marvel Snap podcast where I talk about the latest info you need before you start the first turn of a game while I drive home from work. I'm your host, August. Let's drive home. So I got a bonus episode here for y'all today because it's patch day. It's the super exciting time of the month where we get all the data mines showing us like all the stuff coming for Marvel Snap. A lot of people get very excited about the variants, the bundles. I personally am always more excited for the new cards. I love seeing what's coming up design-wise and also like what the new hotness is going to be. So now with today's data mine, we're able to see the cards coming out in January. So that's the first month of next year. We got the Dragon season. It's going to be all about like the Marvel lore dragons. Which I personally don't know much about. I didn't realize there was enough dragons in Marvel with enough, I guess, kind of clout that they could make a season of them. There's a couple big names that I knew of here before researching some of these, but mostly I didn't think there'd be this many. So let's dive in. I'm just gonna go through them card by card. I'm gonna say what the card is and some quick thoughts on each one. So the first one is going to be our Season Pass card. It's Xiao Lao the Undying. It's 5/10 on reveal. Give the last character you played +2 power for each turn you played 2 or more cards. They sometimes struggle with making like Season Pass cards big, right? Like we've seen before with Gilgamesh, they had to buff that in the same season. Agamotto came out pretty well, I'd say. I know a lot of people were kind of like down on him at first, and then you started to find the decks that he was good in, and then it hasn't really kind of fallen off since. It has fallen off since, sorry. But so this is another attempt at them making a big one. So this is a 5-cost Season Pass card, which generally is hard to gauge power-wise, but I think the ability is very good on this one. So like it's a 5/10 itself, but then it's also buffing another card, so giving it +2 for every time you played more than 2 cards a turn. So it gets to play in 2 different locations, basically. You're putting power from itself, the 5/10 in one spot, and then potentially putting the other extra plus, 4, 6, 8 power in another. Like, depending on the deck, this could actually be pretty big. What kind of deck would use this kind of thing? Right now, the Zombies deck is like the main kind of like play more than 1 card a turn. The end of turn, Fantastic deck does this because of Thena, but I don't know if this really fits in there very well. So maybe it makes a new deck. Like maybe it's the kind of thing where something new is going to spawn out of playing as many cards as you can a turn. There's another card coming up that also kind of incentivizes this, so we'll see that in a little bit. But yeah, Xiao Lao. He's a big guy, like in Marvel. Like if you know Iron Fist, you know Xiao Lao. So when I heard like Dragon Season, this is exactly what I thought the main guy would be. So this makes a lot of sense. All right, the next card. This is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this should be the Super Premium Pass card. Along with like also releasing as a Series 5 card that same day, like they've been doing the last couple months. So this is Dragon of the Moon. This is a 3/2 on reveal. Steal 1 power from even costed cards in all hands. Okay, so 3/2 stealing power. I think we've seen this one before. Like this was in the data months for last month, so I've heard of people talk about this one. The first thing that comes to mind is like Surfer, because like Surfer generally doesn't have like a lot of even costed cards, so you're mostly going to be stealing power off of your opponent. Does Surfer need like another like weird like 3 big or 3 medium? Like I don't know. It doesn't really synergize with the rest of what Surfer is trying to do. The weird part to me is like the text where it says all hands instead of like both players. I know that they have mentioned in passing like kind of testing like 2v2 or other kind of weird like more player snap formats. So like is this like seeding for that? Like could we be seeing that like earlier than we thought? I don't know. I think they're just trying to be clear that it's not just from your hand, it's also theirs too. But the all in bold caps letters is kind of funny. I don't really know what I would do with this guy, to be honest. Like, stealing 1 power makes him basically a 3/4 if they're playing the card, and that's only if it hits one thing. If they hit 2, if you have 2 even costed cards, it's 3/6, and that seems pretty easy to do between both players. Like, if the ask is just you each have 1 even costed card in your hand to be the same kind of similar power to like Spider Punk, like we've seen that was like a 3/3 that steals 2, and you generally see him do that about twice a game, sometimes 3. So if you're looking at twice a game for Spider Punk, we're looking at, the first one is 3/7 and this of power, and the next one is 3/11. But to get to somewhere close to that for this, you'd have to be stealing off of at least 5 cards. So, who knows how more viable that is. Spider-Punk also has the neat synergy of being a move card in a time when move decks are really good. And to the surprise of me, at least, I didn't think Spider-Punk was going to fit into the actual move deck. I didn't think there was a space for it, but it looks like a lot of people just cut Juggernaut, and it still worked. I don't think Dragon of the Moon has that kind of luxury. Like any deck, like I said, the Surfer deck, like you could cut something for it, but then why? You're just cutting for power? There's lots of things that have the power now in Surfer, like Captain Carter, Sebastian Shaw, Brood. You don't need this. So we'll have to see if this gets used somewhere else, but I'm not really picturing where it goes. The next card, still releasing the first week of the season, is Lockheed. Lockheed is a 2/1, end of turn. If you played a 1-cost card this turn, afflict an enemy here with -2 power. Okay, so this one is an exciting one. So Lockheed is the pet dragon of Kitty Pryde. So you've seen him on art already, on the variants for Kitty. We've seen the little purple dragon that's on her shoulder, that's him. And it's so great that he has synergy with Kitty Pryde itself. So Kitty Pryde being the 1-costed card that you can just keep playing over and over, and not only is she gaining power from her own ability, but then you would be also afflicting -2 to your opponent. This seems great to me. I actually really like this. 2/1 is pretty small, but the amount of power that you're going to be scaling over time just by afflicting on their side is going to add up. It's also an end of turn, which is not notable. It's something that to think about. Does this squeeze its way into the Invisible Woman first steps decks? I'm not sure. It could. They also have 1-drops in that deck. Maybe fitting a Kitty package can help, because that could also help with Dina with the proccing multiple cards per turn. If you get to do this end of turn thing, every turn of the game, that's going to be a lot of power. But if you're also doing it every turn of the game, and then on the last turn doing it 19 times, then who are you kidding, right? Very excited about this one. The next card, still in the first week, is for a series 4 card this time. It's a skill card, Majestic Wingbeat. So it's a 1-cost skill. On reveal, give the leftmost card in your hand +2 power. If it's 5 cost or higher, -1 cost 2. So this is they've seemed to fit into a kind of style where they want to do a skill card in the first week as their series 4 card. I keep saying season, I don't know why. So this fits into that kind of paradigm where they're also releasing that with this. It's very dragon themed, they want it to be for the big cards in your hand. As you can see, if you can hit something that's 5 or higher, you're actually making it cheaper while also still increasing the power of it. Being 1 cost on its own means that it's just kind of low commitment for you to play it on a turn. I'm just trying to think of what decks have a lot of big 5 costs and higher that are doing well right now. Zombie Man, Zombie Giant Man is a 5 cost. That would be nice to hit lower. Man Spider, I would love to get that as a 4 cost with 2 extra power. That's pretty good. So stuff like that you want to be able to multiply with. Iron Man is a classic example. If you make that a 4-2 with Iron Man's ability, that's pretty cool. So it just seems like, another basic kind of Series 4 card that's like, it's not like amazing, but it has a lot of niche uses that could come up. All right, so week two, we're going to have Lin Lei Iron Fist. So this is the new Iron Fist, the one that I believe was actually made by Newverse, actually, or NetEase, one of the two. The one that makes, I can never get them straight in my head. The one that made, I believe the game is like Contest of Champions or something, that mobile game, I believe that's where this guy's from. So he is a 2-2, on reveal, add the Sword of Fushi to another location. And the Sword of Fushi is a 2-2 ongoing. If Lin Lei Iron Fist is here, he has +7 power. So this character is the same guy as Swordsmaster that we already have in the game. Swordmaster, the 3/7 that discards a card. It's the same guy. He's just taking on the new mantle of Iron Fist. So it looks like they're kind of trying to tie in the 7 power from Swordmaster and the moves stuff from original Iron Fist. Because, so Lin Lei is going to come, he's going to hit the board, he's going to use his on reveal, and it's going to put the sword in another location. It's not even where he is. But then the sword buffs Lin Lei if he's there. So you're going to have to find another way to move him after you've already placed down the sword. Some other ways you could do this is you could bounce the sword back to your hand and play it on its own again later, but it is a 2-cost itself. It's not like other of these kind of spawning item abilities like Mjolnir or Captain America's Shield where they're 0 cost. Like this is actually a 2-cost, so there's some stuff there preventing that kind of abusability. Is this worth doing? It's kind of weird, but like it's like a weird 2/9, and that's kind of interesting to me. Like Madam Web makes it easy to move him around. Ghost Spider makes him easy to move into the same lane. Like there's some stuff there. It just isn't worth doing. The Sword of Fushi being an ongoing also means it can be doubled with stuff like Onslaught or Moonstone or Onslaught Citadel location. So there is some ways to make the Lin Lei pretty big, but I'm just not seeing the kind of deck that it goes into. Maybe it goes into like the ongoing stuff deck. It's kind of weird because he's an on reveal himself, but the sword is an ongoing, like I said. So, it's synergy for Goliath. It's good for, sort of good for Moonstone, kind of. So who knows? Maybe it's another thing that gets hit by Spectrum. Speaking of Spectrum, it's kind of weird. It's kind of nice for Aurora coming up in December. That one that's like, on reveal +2 forever to your on reveal and then your ongoing and your end returns. So Lin Lei represents both an on reveal for himself and ongoing for the sword. So maybe there's something there. Okay, so that was week 2. The third week of the month is going to have a big guy that every Marvel lover is going to recognize right away, Fin Fang Foom, the big jolly green giant himself. Okay, so this guy is a 7/12. On reveal, gain the power of the front row enemy cards here. Another one of their attempts to do 7 cost without any kind of cost reduction built into it. So you have to find a way to play them yourself. Luckily, ramp has never been easier than it is now. Just simply Luna Snow would be enough to get you going with this guy. And then the ability to just steal power on an already big unit like a 7/12 is great, because not only are you minimizing their impact, you're also like increasing yours. Like you're definitely there's not going to be many ways to lose the lane that he's jumping in. My immediate thought when I see this kind of card is Hela, because if Hela is able to trivially discard a 7/12 and bring that back, like you're definitely winning the lane that it's back in. The only issue then is Hela going to keep respawning things into that same lane that you've already overkilled on. Another good hit is probably like something like Pixie, or any way that you can get this down to like really low of a cost that you can just kind of sneak in. We're talking about stuff like Anti-Venom or upcoming Hydro Man. Like, things that can make this small in cost and just make it easy to dump out earlier is going to make this guy amazing. Like, you're not going to want to cheat 1 energy off of this. You want to cheat like 6 or 7. You want to make this guy like super easy to come down. He looks really scary to me, and definitely kind of like the kind of card that's like a menace that's going to take over the metagame, in my opinion. It's going to be about, like, you know, where is Fing Fang Foon coming down? Like, which lane are you sacrificing? Okay, next card is then scary by name, but definitely kind of exciting as its own. It is our newest Shang-Chi Master of the Rings. So when we saw that this was being data mined, I know a lot of people were like, oh no, they're making Shang-Chi 2. They nerfed Shang-Chi so they could sell him again. They didn't do that, guys. Here it is. It's a 3/4 game start. The 10 rings start in your hand. On reveal, unlock their potential. So the 10 rings is just like another kind of basic card. It's not a skill. It's a card that stays on board. What it is, it's a 2/0. End of turn, give one of your other cards here +1 power. But then it also has a 10 rings upgraded, which would probably be the unlock potential portion of Shang-Chi's ability. And then this card is a 2/1. End of turn, give your other cards here +1. So a little subtle difference when it's its first form, it's giving 1 card at the end of turn +1. When it's been unlocked or upgraded, it gives all your other cards in that location +1. Okay, so this is a little complex. I'm gonna roll it back just a second. So Shang-Chi 3/4 game start, 10 rings in your hand. All right, awesome. Then when you play Shang-Chi, it on reveals unlocks their potential. So it upgrades that 10 ring. 10 rings itself being a 2 cost. Okay, so this seems really cool. It's like it's kind of like Marvel Boy in like the end of turn decks, where their whole point is to just continuously buff the 1 cost, and then on the final turn give out like +3s like a billion times. This is another way to do that, but without being restricted to just 1 costs. Like, this is the kind of card that could change the dynamic of that deck completely, because it's already just like a 3/4. So it's kind of on stats, but the 10 rings itself will most likely buff it, especially if you keep it in that lane that it's in. So we could be looking at a potential of something like, I don't know, you play this on 3, play the rings on 4, then we're getting turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. That's at least 3/6, 3/7 power. Not to mention, since you've upgraded it, you're giving power to everything else in the lane too. So we're looking more like, instead of 7 power, we're looking probably somewhere closer to 12 or 13, and that's without end of turn shenanigans. So that's probably the main deck I'm seeing this go in. I don't think you'd want to be doing this if you're just settling on just the +1. You want this because you're going to get like +1,000,000 later. Without being restricted to just 1 drops, this also means that where your power is going isn't just going to be as easily disruptible with a Killmonger. It means that you can be stacking power on the units like Invisible Woman herself. A lot of the play pattern of the first steps deck there is that, like, oh, the lane that's stacked with like Invisible Woman, Prodigy, Jocasta, whatever, that's not the one that gets big because, you know, they don't scale their own power. But now with something like the 10 rings, if you throw the 10 rings in that same lane, they're also going to be scaling power now. And that's a new dynamic and a twist on the deck that I'm excited for. Does it go anywhere else? I don't know. Maybe it's a Surfer card? Like, it could be. This is it buffs Shaw, it buffs Carter, it could buff Brood if that's the only other thing in the lane. Like, this, it's kind of doing the things that Surfer is asking for. I just don't know if Surfer needs it. Does it? Maybe this is the kind of thing that helps bring Surfer back to life again. I'm certain, like, I would think this one over the Dragon of the Moon that we saw earlier. If you had to pick, which of the 3 costs this month are going to Surfer, I would think it's Shang-Chi. But I just think he's got better homes than just that. Also releasing that week as a limited time game mode, it says, we don't know what yet, you know, as the data mines, it just shows with this. It's called Dragon Lord. It's a 5/5 on reveal. Put a card from your hand here. So kind of like a weird Isan. Isan being able to trigger every turn, but only for created cards. This one is just the one-time on reveal, but it goes right onto the board. That's pretty cool. It's like a weird Jubilee. Instead of coming from the deck, it goes from your hand. It's also a 5/5 on its own, so it's got pretty big, beefy stats for that kind of effect. Like being able to pull a unit from your hand, especially if you can kind of whittle it down or target yourself with like maybe some weird discard shenanigans or just dumping your hand on the final turn, then you can get down to, you can make your options of what's dropping pretty secure. I kind of like it. I don't know what I'd use it in, but I don't hate it. It's interesting enough that I'm like, okay, we should like put a pin on this guy. Like keep your eye out, because there might be something that one of the better deck cooks can make with this guy. After that, there are 3 cards that we don't have any information on, like the release date yet. They're Series 4 cards, so they're probably going to be sprinkled in throughout the month. I'd guess one is a game mode card, one is like a Series 4 pack card, that kind of thing. The first one is a skill called the Brand of Xiaolao. It's a 1-cost skill. On reveal, one of your other cards here steals 2 power from the character that costs the most in your opponent's hand. I think that's pretty cool. So the flavor of it is like when the Iron Fist takes defeats Xiao Lao and gets his mark branded onto him and gets the power of the fist. So that's basically what's happening here. One of your cards is taking from their strongest guy in their hand, and depending on how the season goes, that could be Xiao Lao himself, that could be Fing Fang Foom. So you're grabbing power from a dragon. It's very flavorful. Stealing is cool, because it takes their power away and so it's not just pure plus on you, it's making their plays weaker. It does have the whole Luke Cage problem, but that might be mitigated depending on how the season is. If this is the only kind of thing that people are stealing or worried about, then there isn't going to be much Luke Cage. As a skill, as just like a one-off, I like it that you can just weave it into a curve. You can target it things by making the thing you wanted to hit be the only thing in the lane. It's a nice little neat little card. I don't have major objections with it, but I don't really have a big it's gonna go here. If Werewolf by Night decks are still big with the zombies and the skills and Merlin and everything, that could probably fit in there too. Who knows? Next card is Dragon Breath. So how else are we going to have a dragon season and not have a card showing off, breathing fire on someone, right? So this is Dragon Breath. It's a 4-cost skill. Give a 5-cost or higher character in your hand plus 3 power. Afflict an enemy card at each location with -2. Now, the first time I read this, I thought it was just afflicting an enemy card at that location with -2. No, it's every location. So you're doing a spread of -6 and also gaining 3 on something. That's awesome. I think this is really cool. It is pricey at 4, but I think it could be the kind of thing where it sees play anyway. You're looking at basically -6 across their front, or anywhere really, -6 across. And most 5-cost cards are pretty big in power, and so that extra 3 is definitely helping out with that. Specifically, it's definitely going to fit in Ajax kind of decks. Ajax is a 5-cost card that can take extra power. You definitely want to be spreading out wide amounts of -2s. So there's that Wiccan shell that's going around with Wiccan, Ajax, Hazmat, Malekith, those kind of cards. This could fit in there. The only problem with that is this cost 4. That's pretty big. Maybe that means Zabu comes back, because Zabu will reduce this, Zabu will reduce Malekith. Maybe. If this was a 3-cost and just gave 1 less power, I'd be way more oh my gosh, this is gonna be a problem. But at 4 costs, it feels kind of tempered. The last card that we have here is Dragon Man. So this one was also data mined, I believe, last month, but it's actually changed in the data mine. So we had it before as a 4/4 that gained with end of turn plus 2 power for each location that's full on your side. It's now reading as 4/6 end of turn plus 1 power for each location that's full on your side. So it got extra power on its base, but lost power on its ability. I know people have been looking for like help for the zoo archetype, where you just spam out a bunch of ones and fill up your board. I'm not sure this does that, because it's an end of turn ability, it happens every turn. So this wants you to have full locations as soon as possible. And filling locations in Marvel Snap early is not good, because that's how you let your opponent know what kind of cap you're putting out of power-wise there. And especially for just one extra power on Dragon Man, I am not seeing it. Like, if this still got +2 power, maybe, or even if it got extra power for all lanes, like yours and your opponent, but just your side means it's restricted to just basically, I need to fill my lane every turn. I need to fill 1 or 2 lanes. How do I do that? You clog yourself. Maybe you'd play like Kitty Pryde shenanigans, like stuff that, or like, the old Silky Smooth stuff, like stuff that you dropped into a lane and it moved out again after. Those kind of decks haven't really been good in a while. The closest we have to that is like the Hydra Stomper stuff now, but the way I've seen it, like, it doesn't really do the whole fill a lane, move out. It's more just how many times can we move Silk or Spider-Punk or other cards into Craven lanes and then playing Stomper. It's not about how many times can we fill 1 or 2 locations and then move things away out of it. So Dragon Man wouldn't be any help there either. It's the kind of card that it's like, okay, like, it's supposed to be like a weird a weird Dazzler, where Dazzler is that, +2 ongoing, but gets 2 for every full of your lanes. This is trying to be bigger and also repeating the ability, but the ability isn't really worth repeating at +1. So I'm not sure about this guy at all. I think they need to like tweak a few numbers on him, but I'm not sure if the +2 was really that scary that they had to go down to +1. Okay, so those are the cards for the season. We'll have more information as we get closer. Like I said, this is the January season, so we're still, in November. So typically the way this works is that we'll get in the December patch, we'll get some more info on like where these missing pieces go, or by then we'll also get like, at the end of December we'll have the developer update, which will show us exactly like, okay, these cards are releasing in this method. As of now, like always, data mines could change. We just saw Dragon Man changed, so like we don't want to say specifically that all these cards are going to be like they are in January, but they're going to probably be pretty similar. It's been a while since I've seen drastic, like this card is completely different from how we data mined it back then. Maybe some stats change, some numbers go up and down. Abilities are pretty usually set in stone. So look at like what these cards do. We can kind of start theorizing what kind of decks they would go in. 2 months out is still, 3 or 4 different balance changes away too. So the metagame could be completely different by the time we get there. But it's fun to theorize. It's fun to think about what they could be doing now. Because if you have a grasp on what they can do now, then you can kind of extrapolate what they could do later. If it's like, oh, this deck is really good in only this specific situation, then if this specific situation is gone, then it might not be good. Or if it's like, this is a card that can fit in 3-4 decks, and we've seen, 1 or 2 of these decks hit the top before, then it's worth looking again later. As always, very excited about the data mine. Shout out to Snap.fan for finding these for us. It's a big patch day. There's lots of other stuff to talk about. There's lots of other stuff in there. Check out the usual places, the official release of the patch notes on the Discord or in your game, and also Snap.fan for all the other data mine stuff that we're looking at. I'm very excited to dig into what else is coming up. I'll have another episode out later this week. This is just I wanted to get out this kind of information now because I'm excited. Data mines are fun. New cards are fun, and it's great to see that Snap still continues to innovate. Like this whole upgrade or unlock potential that Shang-Chi is doing, that could be massive for later. Who knows how much more we can use that kind of thing, where it's like, oh, we start off with something small, but then after we hit a condition, it changes. I love to see that. I want to see what they're going to do with that going forward. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the new cards. I'll see you next time. Thanks.